I want to give God the glory that this morning we are here. And I am humbled to be in the presence of the Lord. Visitors, my name is Michael Nashimolo. I pray that by the end of this session, you catch the spirit to go and make disciples. It is my prayer. It is one thing to come in the house of the Lord, but still go back unchanged. Our ability to catch what the Lord is commanding us to do depends on three kinds of people. The first person that is on your left, that S stands for self, and C stands for Christ. Now, this is a person whose life is governed by their decisions, their emotions, and they are not sensitive to the things of the Spirit. Such people are what we refer to as the natural man. That's a natural man. They don't know the Lord, but they are right in the field, and God is calling us to go out and disciple these. That's why if we don't come on the 28th, then we will be able to know that we are sacrificing them to the world. The Bible talks about them in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Talks about this natural man who is not receptive to the things of God. Now I bring them today so we get to know that we are surrounded by people we need to disciple. The second person is someone who accepted Christ, allowed Christ to come into their life, but has not fully surrendered. This person has told Christ, yes, I accept you as my Savior, but you're not my Lord. So Christ sits at the feet of the person, but not the person sitting at the feet of Christ. How do we tell these people? We refer to them as the fleshy people. Someone who is a believer, but is a carnal person. We still operate in the carnality of life. And that means that we don't have the evidence of true salvation. Now, such a person needs to identify themselves and find someone to walk with. But we can also find them and also walk with these people. We are going to see how Jesus illustrates the discipleship. Now, the third person is a person that we call a spiritual man. Now, this person is one that allowed Christ to come in their life, but decided to die to sin and said, Lord, may you reign, may you sit at the center. Now, Christ in this third person is at the center of it all. So when we sing the song, Jesus at the center of it all, we mean it. That in our decision making, we mean he's at the center. In our relationship development, we mean it when we say he's at the center. When we say we are winning disciples, we mean because Jesus is at the center of it all. Now, every element of discipleship must involve Christ being at the center. It is not us. A carnal person who is making disciples never talks about Jesus in a situation. If they find that you've come from a situation, they will give you advice that leads you to death. A spiritual person will always align the situation to what the Bible teaches. And so we want to look at Jesus Christ as a man who is a spiritual man, encountering a lady, talking to her until when this lady was transformed and went to call the other people. In the book of John chapter 4. In the book of John chapter 4. And before we read, we have come to church a number of times. We have enjoyed the worship. We enjoy the prayer sessions. Some of us have made friends from the church. Now we have businesses growing, but our Christianity has only remained in the church. In the walls of the church. That's where we only know that this person is a believer here. Only in the walls of the church. That's when we tell that this person is transformed and is making disciples. Now we are being called upon to move out of the walls of the church. Impactful discipleship over our walls. Chapter 4. Now Jesus learned that the Pharisees had heard that he was gaining and baptizing more disciples than John. Although in fact it was not Jesus who baptized, but his disciples. So he left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of the ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. Now the Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew. I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans." And Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as did also his sons and his livestock?" Now the story continues, but I'll go because of time. I want to bring us a few points here from the text, because I'm supposed to run from verse 1 to verse 32. But here we are seeing Jesus, who is being confronted by the Pharisees because they are complaining that this man is baptizing very many people. And the truth is, the Bible is saying that Jesus was not baptizing. It was the disciples that were baptizing. And because of that, he decides to go back to Galilee. Because he was in Judea, the only route that was there for him to use, there were two routes, but he chose to go through Samaria. And many of us need to understand that Samaritans and the Jews would never sit together. They would never meet and interact. Because within Samaria, there were two categories of people. There were those Jews that had come to Samaria, but when they were there, they intermarried with the Samaritans, and they brought forth a different category of people. Now, the Jews hated the Samaritans so much that if you went there now in the times of the Bible, a true Jew would never cross through the land of Samaria. Why? Because they considered themselves to be defiled if they stepped on the land of the Samaritans. And so it was easy for them to take the longest route. There were other routes. That is how much the Jews detested the Samaritans. And they never wanted to associate with them because they didn't want to be defiled. Now, this is defilement by simply stepping in the land. And yet when you study the Old Testament, people were defiled under the following conditions. Number one, if you got in contact with a woman who is in her periods, the Old Testament declared you defiled. You were unholy. So you had to undergo purification. Or if you came in contact with a dead animal, if it died in your compound, you became defiled. You had to purify. If you met a leper and the leper touched you or touched anything that you would use at home, that whole thing would become defiled. Now they've translated all that to human beings, that they can walk the longest distance just to avoid meeting a Samaritan. Now, there is no life there. That is carnality. That's the mind of a carnal person. How is our discipleship going to be impactful unless we do what Jesus did? Jesus was a Jew. But because he has a mission, he needs to make disciples, he takes the route to Samaria because it was the shortest. But while he's taking the route, he does not cross through. We have blind Pharisees who would walk. Actually, I always tell people, when the blind Pharisee is going past someone, because they know when you look at a woman lustfully, you have committed adultery. A blind Pharisee walks with eyes closed. So if they got an opportunity to pass through Samaria, I'm very certain they would actually hire people to carry them so they don't step on the land of the Samaritans, with their eyes closed because they don't want to look at a Samaritan. That is not what the Lord has called us to. If our discipleship is going to be impactful, then we must do what Jesus did. Because he says, come follow me and I'll make you disciples of men. Now he comes to Samaria. Instead of passing through, he looks for where the well that Jacob had established. And he sits at the well to show the Jews that I can actually see. These are people created by God. Why should we eliminate them? I want us to picture this story of Jesus and put it in your life. If it were you, when you go to this workplace where you work, you are working, and every moment you enter, there are people you move, you go past, but you never say hello because you feel that they are evil. As you're coming to church, we go past people within the community. They know this one is a believer going to church to pray. But as we walk, it is like we are passing in the land of the Samaritans. We don't even want to say hello. We don't want to greet people. How is our discipleship going to be impactful if we are living life isolated from the environment where we are? We are telling people the good news, but we do not reflect the good news. It is a call that we begin to walk a life of discipleship. There is someone listening to me here. In the place where you stay, your neighbors don't even know you are Moroccan. Because when you get out of your house, you have the timing, you get to know, you first peep through the window to see who is out. Because I don't want them to see me. Then you will move out. When someone has passed on in the community, you're never there. You're so busy. You don't want to go. These people here are defiled. I don't want to go there. Impactful discipleship means we must go there. There is no need to rush. Jesus passed through. He didn't rush. He sat at the well. He was exhausted. Now, how are you walking this life of discipleship? While the Jews avoided the route to Samaria, Jesus decided to enter that place. There is someone in that community that has been rejected a number of times. There is a person at that workplace that has been isolated, rejected, looked at as a disgust to many. So they've decided to leave out this person, but there is this person who says, I am a believer, I have been called of God. And we are joining the group to say, no, I will not pass there. We must walk like Jesus did. Someone is here and your parents just live 2 kilometers from your home, but they don't know where you stay. And we also don't know how they are surviving, because that is where you're born. But they do not know where you live. But when they call you, they call you pastor. They even tell you, but pastor, from the day you got saved, you forgot about us. And you're busy praying to God, Lord, I pray, may you save my father. May you save my mother. May you save my brother. Now, when you pray like that, who is going to come to them? The Lord has pulled you out so that you might go back to these people who you look at as outcasts, who you look at as people that do not fit within, and begin to disciple them. It is a call for us to make sure that our discipleship goes beyond these walls. You find someone at work who does not relate well with others, but when people come to church, you even kneel for the pastor. You kneel for the pastor. Hey, pastor. And the pastor is like, this woman is well behaved. You serve excellently. And everyone's like, this person serves excellently. But when we go back to our workplace, we have left our Christianity within the walls of the church. The other Jews, the Pharisees, would pass kilometers away. But Jesus says, no, let me cross through this place. Some of us who drive at times, when we are passing, we raise the what? The windows. And you put the SC. And people are trying to say, Naya na abera mu motoka eyo. But they only know there is someone who stays down there in that chikomera. And when we are at church, as we enter here, we lower. So everyone can see, and the ushers are running around us. Oh, how are you doing? You're welcome today. And now when a member from that community comes and says, Tugamba buli jono yabeera eri ewaffe. At my workplace, at times I move down. I go to the kitchen, and I tell the people there. I say, "Give me food," and they say, "No, let you sit inside." And then I say, "No, I want to sit here with that smoke." But they end up pouring out their hearts. Why? Because they know that there are classes here. Now, teachers don't want to sit with the cooks. The cooks don't want to associate with the security guards. Now, that level of classing. Now, the security guard waits for a cook who is carrying their luggage back home and says, wait, first stop, what are you carrying? I hope you have not stolen, isn't it? Now, the cook waits for the security guard and then says, you've come for food, you first wait. Let all the children eat, then you will come and eat. And there are some believers there, by the way. We are truly born again. We go to church, but we've left Christianity in the walls of the church, but we are living differently from out there. It is a call for us to walk like Christ, because our life itself must disciple someone. There must be something unique about you. You will enter that office and pray. Read the Bible, speak in tongues. For as long as we do not impact the people's lives, then we are simply killing the name of Christ. He has called us to go make disciples. Now, how do we make disciples? We must be able to walk a life of a disciple. He who wants to follow Christ must be ready to deny self. Deny yourself. If others are isolating them, I will not be a part of them. I want you to look at that neighbor of yours. If that person resembles the person who hurt you or broke your first relationship, that's not the person. That person seated next to you is your brother. That person is not a relative to the Samaritans. While in church, we laugh with everyone. But when you move out there, then you see the two people who are sitting together. Just like some relationships where you find someone, no, you know what? We are going to this place, but you board your own taxi. Let me also board mine. We meet at the venue. No. Jesus goes through and even sits. Let your life preach Christ. I am not saying don't talk for him, because someone is going to say, thank you, Pastor. I have been having difficulty. When you tell me to talk to people, that is the hardest thing. It has never been hard. Now, Jesus has sat in the land. Now, the woman comes with a jug to get water. Now, he does not wait for the woman to start a conversation. Jesus begins the conversation. Relationships require communication. Don't wait for the person. Now, did Jesus start by telling the woman, get saved? No. He starts with water. Will you give me some water to drink? Now, it is the woman who shows her side, but look, you are a Jew, I am a Samaritan. Jews and Samaritans don't what? Look at that woman in the neighborhood who was trouble to your family. And that's why you're staying. This time, it has been dry. There is no water in the tap, but she has water in her tank. But you need to shower to go to work. Now, who is going to give you the water? You want to go kilometers away, but there is water close here. Why? Because we are proud. Jesus says, please give me some water. He's thirsty as a man. Give me some water. No, but you are a Jew. Jews and us do not, just like some people here will say, that is who we are. We are very bad-mannered. When we start, the whole community will hide, and we are proud of that. Imagine this woman is saying, how do I give you this water? You are a Jew. We don't even share. But Jesus is teaching us a principle that it is not good to detest people. Imagine him holding that jug with water, a jug belonging to a Samaritan, holding it and putting it on his mouth to drink the water. Now let us look at the church. There are people here that sometimes we look at, even in our communities, that we think, moving near this person here is not good. I cannot actually sit among them. We even tell our children, do not play with the kids from that home. If I find you, you will be in trouble. We are not going to do A, B, C, and D. What kind of Christian am I? My discipleship should impact people. We must be Christian outside these walls also, not only in church. Because my life must be able to preach. You know, some people here pretend. A child, you know how you pretend? A child gives you something to drink and you pretend like you're drinking. I'm very certain it is not written, but I think Jesus drank the water. How do we tell that his actions impacted the woman? The woman begins to desire. I want to know, give me this water. Now, they've started from the water. Now, there are questions. I know believers fear questions. You fear being asked questions. Jesus is connecting from the well. Give me water. And he didn't pretend. He had to drink the water. So when he told the woman, I can offer this water, the woman thought otherwise, because when you look at the background, she was used to getting men. Possibly she might have thought, now I have the biggest catch, only to realize that she's the fish. Now he says, okay, when she said, give me the water, he says, go and call your husband. And he says, I don't have one. He didn't judge her. You know, we are so judgmental. He didn't judge her. He said, well, you're right saying that. Because even the one you have is not yours. That was husband number 5. The Bible does not tell us what had happened to the other 4. But what I'm thinking, they might either have divorced her to take other women, or they had died. Now she has someone who is not the husband. Jesus does not judge her because he's doing discipleship. His life must impact. First of all, you've come to our land. You've sat here. It is very unique for a Jew to sit in our land. Number 2, you have asked for water from me, a Jew, a Samaritan. Asking water from me, a Samaritan. This must be a unique person. Have the water. Now you're asking me to bring my husband. And as the story unfolds, when you keep on reading, in verse 39, you will find that most of the Samaritans believed. Because when she accepted, she ran back home and said, hey, you people come and see a man. They are coming to see, not to hear. Why? Come and see a man whose life is totally different from the ones we know. Whose life is changed. Could this be the prophet? Please come, let us see. Now, we must leave Christianity beyond these walls here. Don't be a Christian at home, or at church only. Be a Christian at home, inside your house, and be a Christian outside the walls of your house. The neighbors hear you praying, but they never hear you greeting them. And in the morning, Baloko, they have a great way of greeting God. Oh, good morning, Holy Spirit. Oh, how sweet you are. How was your night? And then when you get out of the house, you go past the neighbor as if we are living in Russia and Gaza. And tomorrow we are telling these people, look, the Lord loves you. And the person wonders, do you really love me? How can this God who you say loves me, that you believe, be a true God? Because our lives are not reflecting it. We must be impactful in our discipleship beyond the walls. Turn to your neighbor. Just turn to your neighbor. Please do it for now. Say, neighbor, neighbor, be a Christian. Disciple people. Here at church, you love us, hug us, shake hands with us. But when you go back home, greet the neighbors, love on them. If someone has passed on in the community, get time and bury. Impactful discipleship over the walls. I want you to turn to another neighbor. Just turn to another neighbor. Say, neighbor, do you see the people in this house? They are children of God. You are not better than them. We are all brothers and sisters. We are children of God. Don't overshow yourself. Where is your Christianity? Someone comes to greet you. There are people you smile at, but to others you don't. There are people who come to you and even look at you. You say, now I have only 2 minutes. And as they leave, before the end of the 2 minutes, someone else comes. They stand somewhere. They look at you even jazzing for 1 hour. And like, now, was I useless? Do I really matter? We love on everyone. Jesus sat in the land of Samaria. In the land of Samaria. Where are you sitting? Raise up on your feet.